It's making really strange noises.
The monster's been sitting the same way for days now.
It's alive.
Oh, man. Okay. It all makes sense now.
For over a decade, MGMT have been making music for the best of us, the freaks and geeks. The boys are back with their mind-mangling fourth record, Little Dark Age.
MGMT, welcome to Paris. Andrew, Ben from the band. You're in the city of love. Now music, let's start there. Is that the great love of your lives? And is everything else kind of like, you know, a mistress in the wings?
I'd say so.
You would say so? It sounds good to say that.
It sounds great, yeah. I wish I thought of that myself.
I think it's helpful to have other things going on.
It's a close call between music and my cat.
Music and your cat, and we have a swinger over here.
Yeah.
Music is...
Well, I have a dog too. But
music and your dog.
Yeah.
So now we're getting to some really kinky stuff.
Nothing sexual.
Let's make some music, make some money, find some models for wives.
Talk us through the early years of MGMT. So you started making conceptual music, doing some pretty weird and spacey stuff, and then how did you get onto that road where you were making things that now are selling out big concert halls here in Paris?
Kids was actually one of the first songs that we wrote. It was pretty early on, like a few months into the band.
Yeah.
But it was pretty much the only song that we had that resembled a pop song. Everything else was pretty kind of noisy, freeform.
Yeah, we used to do shows with just two of us, and then like Ben's laptop and maybe a guitar or a radio or a record player sometimes. And we would kind of come up with a concept for the show or some little prank that we would do, like leave music playing and then run away from the stage and never return or stuff like that, or lead like a group of people across our little college campus while music was playing. And so I think the experimental music classes led us to kind of come up with fun ways to approach pop music that weren't, you know, that were kind of subversive or different in a way.
Well, that brings us to your new album, Little Dark Age, your fourth studio record. Tell us, what are you referring to when you're talking about a little dark age?
You know, partially it's kind of dealing with the time that we made the album, which was 2016, and it was a strange time to be in the United States. It culminated, I think, in early 2017 with a complete, just like, disorientation and like identity loss of what it means to be an American for a lot of people. We both kind of knew, I think, that Donald Trump was going to be president.
I was trying to be optimistic.
Yeah.
I think it, like in a lot of ways, for me, it had more to do with just realizing how many people with really kind of ugly feelings there were in our country who hadn't been saying what they felt about other people, and then all of a sudden it kind of became okay to talk about intolerance in a way that hadn't been like on the surface before, and it doesn't mean that it wasn't there, but it was pretty disturbing to see that come out of people.
do you think some of the marvels of the modern age, and what are some of the pitfalls?
Electric cars, great. The space travel, the new space race, I think is really incredible, and I think we'll be landing on Mars and meeting Matt Damon, going to bars, eating cars. Blondie might come. But I think that the technology that we're commenting on the album, is probably just phones, smartphones mostly, and being helplessly addicted to them. I think that's important.
Ben, what do you think about this technology takeover, we could say?
Technology is moving faster than we can keep up with it. I think, it might not be a bad thing, but it's crazy to see how accepting people are of new technology without really knowing what the long-term effects are, or, how it's changing our brains or our relationships with people.
You guys glued to your phones like pretty much everybody else? Or are you conscious about it?
I like my computer more. I like having, I'm old school, I like having a big screen in front of me and a keyboard that I can type on.
I'd say I technically qualify as being glued to my phone. But I think I'm also annoyingly constantly thinking about how I'm looking at my phone, and so I'm just driving myself crazy all the time.
What about social media?
I'm so bad at it. I don't even understand how to use it, really.
I like it for looking at skateboarding tricks or funny animals or memes, like girls in bikinis sometimes. But it's not I don't think there's much cultural value to it, TBH.
I think there is cultural value to it, but I also
what?
Getting groups of people together in communities where people might live in the middle of nowhere and they.
But do they actually get together?
On the internet, they communicate. They let people know that there are other people like them in the world. I think there's a value in that.
But you're communicating through an avatar. I think that there's much more value in actual human interaction in real time.
Yeah, I agree.
Worm.
Your last record, you spoke about improvising a little bit when you were putting it together. Did you go back to what you've called your fantasy dream jam zone when you were making this album?
Less of that this time. We tried to be more methodical with the songwriting. We still did some jamming in the studio, but it was more kind of to get a basic idea, and then we would kind of move on to the figuring out the structure phase of things.
Actually, one of the most utilized jam zones for this record was our minds, because a lot of the songs would germinate as voice memos or even just a song title or something, and then be walking around and kind of humming and developing the song in our heads. And so a lot of the times we would get to the studio and it would actually be pretty quick to record them, and that's fun when it feels like the creative channels are kind of flowing like that.
Now, you said in the past that you wanted to make music that a 20-year-old could interpret as some kind of a call to revolution. If you were taking that on this record, what kind of revolution would you want to inspire?
Well, I think it was our intention on this record, more than the last one maybe, to make music that people could dance to. And that is, I think it's important to get people together to kind of share an experience and maybe allow them to have more of an open mind, or feel like there are people like them in the same room and they're getting together. And I think that, that's the start of a revolution in a way. So
kind of like a a dance revolution.
Thanks, guys. Thank you so much. Well, we're going to throw to a clip now. MGMT, do you want to pick for us one that you'd like to play?
I would love to play the video for the title track, Little Dark Age.
Little Dark Age. That's it.